All right, good morning, guys. Just want to see who is in here. If you can just say hello. I think I kind of got that figured out um, with the live chat. So we'll talk a little bit about plants for today. It's our topic. Um, we just finished up the sale and the sale project. So make sure you get that into me today as our due date for that. So you had the whole week, a little over a week to work on that with your cell candy project with using the different types of candies for your cell organelles and telling us what they are. So make sure you get that turned in. Looks like somebody's in here. Can someone say hello? I'm just going to say hello. Who's in here? And I'm open and available for questions at this time too. If you have any questions you could type it to me in this live chat. I do see one person in here right now. Um, you just state your name so I can say who's here, who's in here. But yeah, just gonna continue. I see a couple people logging in. That's great. So welcome. Good morning. I know it's Monday morning. Early. This is our time. 8:30 to 9:30, unless something changes. With we have other things going on throughout the day with some of us teachers here too. So we're gonna make it adaptable. This is my day that I'm live for a couple sessions throughout the day. So if you could just say hello, that'd be nice. Or if you have any questions on your cell project, remember cell projects due today, and then we're gonna get in to plants. I'm gonna cover a few things on plants as well. So we're gonna have a little project to do by the end of the week on plants. There was a video that was just put out this morning too, or last night, with Mr. Canelo and I. Talking about plants, we were covering a couple different types of plants at St. John's River Base, which is a Boy Scout camp on the other side of town in Orange Park. So we went and explored some plants and gave you some information. And we're going to have you guys research some plants in your neighborhood by the end of this week. So hopefully you can get out into your neighborhood and research some plants, at least 3 plants. So I'm going to go over some of the basics on plants for today in this live session here, and then I'll be open and available for questions if you have any too. Um, and you could always catch up and watch these if you do miss them. But this is a good time for you to answer questions or ask questions during this live session here. Going on to plants. So if you have a paper or pencil with you too, that's always good. You can always jot some notes down as I'm going to just kind of explain some things here. So there's basically 5 main parts to the plant, and we're going to go over that. And whenever you do research your plant in your neighborhood, these are the 5 parts that we'd like you to research to get those ideas down. Since these are the main parts of the plants, would help make it function, just kind of like your cell function there. So the roots. What are the jobs of the roots? If anyone wants to take a um, guess there, or if anyone's in this room right now, I do see a couple people in here. Um, what the main function of the roots may be. If anyone wants to give an answer, if you could type it to me. Just checking here. I don't see not many people are in here, but if somebody wants to answer, that'd be great. But they basically keep the plant in place. It's a main support system for the plant. So they take in water from the soil, and they take water from and food from the soil. So water and food from the soil. So they kind of keep the plant anchored into the ground. So that's the first one. So if you want to jot that down, the roots are one of the main jobs of the plant. So if you could say hello, I do see a couple more people in here. Um, if you have any questions on your cell project, I'm getting into plants, the next topic here for this week. So just covering some things on plants. So roots are one of the main important functions of the plant, are 5 main parts. So that's the first one. Like I said, they help keep the plant in place. They take in water from the soil, and they take food from the soil. The next one would be the stem. All right. And if anyone wants to take a guess what the jobs of the stems would be, if anyone wants to type an answer in that. I know there's only a few people in here, but if you want to go ahead and give it a shot, what the function of the stem may be for a plant. But the main function of the stem basically helps the plant stand up, gives it its ability to stay straight. All right, basically acts like an elevator. It takes in food and water up to the rest of the plant. So it transports food and nutrients up to the rest of the plant. So that's the next main important part of the plant is the stem. So you got the roots and the stem. So if you're jotting a few notes down on that, those are two of the five that we're going to cover for today. And like whenever you guys research your plants in your neighborhood, you should be researching maybe how these functions work on your particular type of plant. I did a water lily, which was a ginger water lily, which is an invasive species. In the video, Mr. Canalou was talking about Spanish moss. We talked about a couple different types of plants. We did have a segment on water lilies and ferns. However, they got cut out of the video, so we're going to probably reshoot some of those parts. But we were covering about 4 different types of plants and even magnolia trees. So it could be trees, it could be plants, it could be things in your garden. So these are the plants that you could be researching around your neighborhood and getting us the information on them. But just covering some more things on some notes here on plants. The next main important function of the plant are the leaves. Okay, and what do you think what are the main jobs of the leaves? Is anyone in this chat room, or if you want to take a guess what the main function of leaves would be for the plant? Like I said, there's only a handful of people in here. You could say hi. Um, I know you're watching. I know you could always go back and watch these if you missed the session. But the leaves, the main function of leaves, helps give the plant photosynthesis, takes in sunlight, so it gets its direct sunlight to get its nutrients from sunlight, and it helps breathe with the air as well too. So it breathes in air, takes in sunlight for photosynthesis, and that's the main function of the leaves, and that's the third main important part of the plant. Okay, so you got roots, you got stems, you got leaves, and the next one would be flower. Okay, what would be the next the job of a flower? Would anyone know what the job of a flower part of the plant would do, or its main function of the flower? Um, well, basically, the flower attracts insects with colors and smells, so the insects can pollinate the flowers. And its main function is it helps makes the seeds. So it helps makes the seeds. So it does attract those animals and to help pollinate and spread. That's what that means, to spread those flowers and seeds to others as well. So the flowering part of the plant is the next important part. And your fifth and your last main function would be seeds. And what do the seeds do? If anyone in here wants to take a guess what the seeds may do in this live session here. Okay, the seeds, they are a way that plants make other plants just like them. Okay, that's their reproduction. So how they would reproduce and how the small plants have small plants inside them. They drop them to the soil, or they're carried by wind or water or other animals, sometimes have spores. So seeds are a way that it would reproduce, and they usually have a protective coating as well. So seeds are the fifth main important part of the plant. So again, just a review of the 5 parts that I'm covering today: roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds. So those are the 5 main important parts of a plant. So what you're going to do for this week by Friday, you're going to go out in your neighborhood and you're going to look up 3 different types of plants, and you're going to use those 5 main parts, and you're going to explain. You're going to research your plant, and you're going to give us information on the type, like the stems, the leaves, explain some of the parts, what they do, um, and how they reproduce. You can research how they reproduce with the flower and the seed dispersal, how they're carried maybe by wind or by another animal. And then you're going to just write a paragraph comparing and contrasting your three different types of plants and some of those five main parts. Um, Let me see here. And then plants just also tell us how they're also important and what are some of the ways how they're important. They're also a source of food. They provide shelter for other organisms as well. So plants are important parts of our ecosystem. So I'm going to break it down into some other different parts of plants, kind of more of an introduction to the classification of plants. So we'd like you to include some of them in your classification, whether you have a fern or you have a dandelion in your neighborhood. Um, my magnolia tree we mentioned earlier. So ferns, different types of plants in your neighborhood. And there's mainly two main groups of plants that they classify under. So there's non-vascular and there's vascular plants. So non-vascular are most primitive. They rely on water coming to them. All right. Vascular contains vascular tissue that transports water. So there's vascular and non-vascular. You can state that the main difference. And there's another one which is a classification. It's called fungi. You might have heard of fungi before. They're really not plants at all, but they kind of go into the category of non-plants. And we're not going to talk much about them right now. But fungi is also kind of in that same classification. Those are lichens, mosses, and stuff like that. But breaking down a non-vascular plant, these are some things that you could research online as well. I did also assign a brain pop for this week too. So you'll have a brain pop to do by Friday. So if you have access to Clever, you can get on to brain pop. I assigned the 10-question quiz, which I'll take as a quiz grade on seed plants. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that today too on seed plants. And so you can watch the video, do the questions, the 10 questions. I also assigned some vocabulary that goes with that as well. So that's under seed plants, under brain pop. So a few things for you guys to do this week, even though I know the cell project's due today. You'll have this plant project due by Friday, and along with a brain pop on plants and seed plants. So you'll have some time this week to review some things on plants. Um, Non-vascular, going back into non-vascular, they have no vascular tissue, no leaves, stems, or roots, okay, for a non-vascular plant. They're usually low growing and they're close to the ground, and they reach maturity pretty quickly. And they can grow in a variety of climates, meaning different changes in temperature in their climates from hot to cold. And they produce food in every cell. So that's one of the main functions of non-vascular plants. Those are some characteristics of them. Now, mosses is a non-vascular plant. It's flowerless. It lies flat and grows in moist areas. Okay, kind of looks like carpet in an appearance of like carpet because on a rock you may see it, like moss is growing. Um, they're also used as by gardeners as mulch because it helps keep moist close to the plant roots as well too. So that's one that would be under that classification, non-vascular. Same with algae. You've probably heard of algae or seen algae maybe in a pond or an aquarium. Um, Different shapes and sizes and colors. Simple plants that contain photosynthetic pigments such as chlorophyll, which are found in wet soil. All right, your next classification, like I was saying, non-vascular. This one is vascular. Vascular plants have vascular tissues. All right, and those are tissues that moves food and nutrients around the plants through the leaves, stems, and roots, and it produces food for plants only in the leaves. Okay, when the leaves, like I was mentioning earlier, is where the plant gets its photosynthesis from, its energy from the sunlight, which we learned about when we were just talking about cells. So that's that area there. I do see a few more people in here. If I could get somebody to say hello. And a couple people watching it live. So if you have any questions, this is a perfect time to ask me any questions pertaining to the cell project, what we're talking about on plants. Some of the assignments I have for you guys this week. Hopefully, got a chance to watch. It's about a 6-minute video, 7-minute video with Mr. Canaloo and I talking about some of these plants from a river camp, a Boy Scout camp in Orange Park. So it's pretty interesting to get down there over the last week or so. Being outside, hopefully you guys are getting outside, enjoying some of this time that you have to enjoy the weather. I know we're all kind of cooped up inside, so hopefully you get a chance to get outside too and enjoy some of the sunlight and nice weather that we do have in Florida. We're fortunate we're in Florida compared to other parts of the country. Um, so continuing on, I know I'm getting off topic a little bit here too. So just trying to, I know it's Monday morning, so all trying to wake up a little bit here. Um, let's see here. Vascular plants. Still talking a little bit about vascular plants. They have a little bit of a longer lifespan than the non-vascular plants. They're usually one season or many. They grow tall and they're wide. They have chlorophyll for photosynthesis, which I mentioned earlier. We talked about chlorophyll, which gives its green color, green pigment in plants. Ferns, trees, grasses, and flowering plants are all considered under this category of vascular plants. So those are the two main categories, vascular and non-vascular. Now, two groups of vascular plants. Now, vascular plants can be separated into two more groups, and I've mentioned this in the video with Mr. Canelo and I, meaning an angiosperm and a gymnosperm. These are two classifications. Which this means an angiosperm is a vessel seed, okay, which means it's covered with a coating, okay, and a gymnosperm, which would say it's more of an open seed, whether they call it a naked seed. So that's what the difference between the two would be: the angiosperm and the gymnosperm. So those are the two types of seeds that you will need to know about your plant. So you can research if it's a flowering plant, if it's a vascular plant, or you might find a fern and would be a little bit different than a non-vascular plant. All right. So actually, ferns, my fault, would be under the gymnosperm classification. So they would actually they're examples of a gymnosperm with they expose their seeds. Okay, so that's the ones that are naked. So examples are pine, spruce, ferns, the conifer trees. Those would be classified under gymnosperms. All right, those are some examples. Now, angiosperms, those are more like your flowering plant, your roses, your elm trees, apple trees, geraniums, which are a type of plant. They produce and store their leaves in an ovary, often called a fruit. So the angiosperms have a fruit. So that's like I was saying, it's more of a vessel seed, kind of like protected in that fruit. Okay. And also stated in the video about the subclasses of angiosperms, how they could be even split in between there too. So you kind of go non-vascular, vascular. Oh, good. I got a couple other people. All right. So hi, this is Brother YouTube. Okay. Hi, Isabella's brothers in here. Isabella Lopez. Okay. What's your question? All right. If you guys have any questions, you could just type them to me. I do see a few more people in here. It's good to see a few more names in here. Um, like I said, I'll be on live today from 1 to 2 as well, and 5 to 6, kind of covering the same thing that I'm talking about now. So if you missed it, this is okay. This is recorded. You can go back and listen. I'll kind of review some things towards the end here too. So this is my time between 8:30 and 9:30 to be live, answering questions. Just talking about plants here now. Okay, going back to the angiosperms. So there's two classes there, subclasses of angiosperms. One is called a monocot. I mentioned that in the video because the lily plant that I was talking about in the video was a monocot, meaning it has a single seed, single seed leaf. And the flowers or petals grow in groups of three, and the leaves have parallel veins. So those are some characteristics of a monocot. So there's monocot, meaning one seed. They have called a cotyledon, that seed leaf. And then they have another one called a diacot. Now, a diacot is also a type of seed here under the classification of angiosperms. Now, continuing on with some of the monocots, flowers are often small and they're overlooked, and they usually grow for only 1 year. For example, corn, grasses, onion, lilies, and many grains are under the classification of a monocot, having one seed. Now, as I was mentioning, dicots have two seeds, and they're cotyledons. So di meaning two, mono meaning one, the root word there. So um, flowers, petals grow into groups of 4 or 5, and leaves have network veins that branch out as well. So they kind of branch out. So, for example, some types of dicots are sunflowers, beans, pumpkins, clovers. Those would be classified under that category there. So the greatest number of plants are dicots. More are dicots. They tend to live a little bit longer. They have one season or many seasons, and they help produce food and clothing, housing. Those would be some characteristics of the dicot. So those are just some examples there. Any other questions so far? I do see a few people in the room are watching the live feed. So um, just covering things on plants. You guys had a video this week on plants, so we kind of went from cells to plants, so small things to larger scale things. So that's what we're at right now um, on this topic on plants. So your assignment is to kind of this week for Fridays to go out before Friday and look around your neighborhood and research some of the plants in your neighborhood, come up with their characteristics of their roots, stems, and leaves, and research them and compare and contrast the 3 plants that you come up with. So try to identify them, what they may be. Look them up online. You could look them up, through a greenhouse that people there would know. I'm not having you go out to a greenhouse or anything like that, but you can mainly research them online. Types of plants that you have in your neighborhood. So 3 types. So going over a few things, vascular, non-vascular. Moss, they would be considered vascular plant or non-vascular. A flowering tree would be a vascular plant. So those are characters. Mosses, algae would be non-vascular, and then vascular are going to be some of your larger ones. So just kind of a review for today of what we're covering here. Just going over some of the main points on the 2 groups of plants, vascular and non-vascular, and the 5 main functions of plants, or important parts of plants. That's the roots, the stems, the leaves, the seeds, and the flowers. So just again, non-vascular plant, no vascular tissue, no leaves, stems, or roots. That's the main indication. They have no leaves, stems, or roots, like mosses and algae don't have that, so it's an easy indication they're non-vascular. They're usually low ground growing, and they're close to the ground. So mosses, they grow on types of rocks and stuff like that. They vary in different climates. So it's just a quick review on some of the non-vascular plants. They're flowerless. They don't have a flower. So those are some things on mosses. Algae, found in wet soil, especially around ponds, streams. You may see algae on rocks as well too. Your aquariums, that would be an example of that. So those are some things on non-vascular. Vascular, again, they have tissues that move around nutrients and plants, the roots, stems, and leaves. These are most of your common plants that you see that people grow in gardens for food, resources that way. These are your vascular plants. Okay, so ferns, trees, grasses, flowering plants, those are all vascular. So they have chlorophyll for photosynthesis. They grow tall and wide. They have a longer lifespan, one season or many seasons for these types of plants. Then these vascular plants can be broken down into groups for the seeds: gymnosperms, angiosperms. So gymnosperm meaning naked seed, angiosperm meaning vessel seed. So one's closed, one's open. All right. Gymnosperms, the exposer seeds, meaning some of the types are pine, spruce, ferns I've mentioned earlier. This is just a review. Angiosperms, they store their seeds in an ovary called a fruit. So roses, elms, elm tree, geraniums, apple trees, those would be angiosperms. And then monocot and dicot. Monocot having one seed. These angiosperms are broken down into the seeds. And these are the protected seed where it has a cotyledon. That's what they call protect the seed. So one seed is a monocot, and then 2 seeds is the dicot. Oh, good. We have a couple other people in here now too. I see. Um, so I'm gonna keep it basic for you guys for today. Just reviewed a few parts with you. I'll do one more quick little review here on the 5 parts. If you just came into the room, like I said, I'll be live for a couple sessions today. 5 main parts of the plants: roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds. So you're to research 3 plants around your neighborhood, include those 5 main parts and how their root systems work: stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds. Tell me if they're vascular or non-vascular, if they have an angiosperm or gymnosperm, monocot or dicot. Those are some characteristics of the plants that you could be researching. Also assign the brain pop I mentioned earlier. So your brain pop will be on seed plants. So it's that's probably about 5 minutes long or so, the video, and then there's the quiz that goes to it as well too. So make sure you do take the quiz. I'm going to count that as a grade at the end of the week. So 2 things due by Friday this week. And then 1 thing due today. Your cell project is due today. I've been getting lots of them on email, so from Friday and throughout the weekend here. So good job on these projects. A lot of you guys put a lot of effort and time into them over the weekend here, and hopefully had a chance to eat them, which would be even better because it is an edible project. So I had a chance to eat your animal cell. So hopefully shows some tasty candy in there as well. Um, going about what's due this week. Paper on your information on your 3 plants in your neighborhood again. Make sure you include roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds in your plant. If they have those, and what the differences are between the 3 different types of plants that you chose. Um, and then the brain pop, it will be due on Friday as well. So you have the rest of the week to do this work and get it in. So you'll have plenty of time to research on plants and the brain pop, and then any questions that you may have with me um, on the on plants. So um, anybody else? I see about 5 or 6 people in here at this moment. I know I could always go back and watch these. Just if you have any questions, this is perfect to. If anyone could just say hello, good morning, that would be even nice. If you just type me something, keep it classy. Just say, hey, how you doing? I just so I don't know. I just want to I just need some interaction here with you guys. So I know people are on here watching, but it'd be great to have someone say hello and um, communicate with here. Oh, okay. Somebody wrote back here. Is the project due on Friday? Yes. Yes, it's due Friday. Project here. Yes. Plant project. So you had the cell project last week. Plant project. And you don't have to create anything like the cell project. There's a little bit more work doing the cell project because you had to write something and create something. So you're just writing about and researching 3 different types of plants in your neighborhood and including the differences of root stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds, and tell me how they're important, any interesting facts. Obviously, the more information you can provide on that, the more likely that you put the effort into this project. Um, so yes, plant project is due Friday. Anybody else in here? I can see like about 6 people I see. Okay, that's good question there too. Specific information, I'll put that up here as well. All right, roots, stems, leaves, flowers, seeds. Differences. in each plant you research. So just to restate that, you're researching 3 different types of plants in your neighborhood or your area. So include information on their roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds, and how they're different between each of the 3 types of plants. And include information if they're vascular or non-vascular, if they are an angiosperm or a gymnosperm, if they have a monocot and diacot, and how they reproduce. So how they reproduce, that's usually their seed dispersal. So you're researching 3 different types of plants, talking about their roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds, and how they're different from each other types of plants. And then you are including if it's a vascular or non-vascular plant, if it is a monocot or diacot with its seed, if it even has that, and if it is a gymnosperm or angiosperm. So some of the main differences on the types of vascular plants, if it's a vascular plant. But if it's a non-vascular plant like a moss or algae, you'll need to include that. So most likely, unless you're around a stream area or a wetland, you'll probably have a moss or algae, but most likely if you're not, you're going to have most likely in your neighborhood, you're probably going to have more vascular plants, which are your flowering plants. Okay. Any other questions? That's good. I'm glad I'm getting some feedback on a few people writing some information here. So this is the time for any live chats to. Oh, hello. Hi, Faith. How are you? I see you're in here. Did you get the information down so far? If you've been listening or have any questions, it's a perfect time to answer or ask. I should say ask any questions you may have. So plant project due Friday. Yeah, dandelion. I see somebody wrote here dandelion counts. It's a type of flowering plant. So yeah, you can research a dandelion or some of the plants in your neighborhood. You may probably have some lilies. Um, you can probably have lots of trees in your area as well too. You can research types of trees as well. Magnolia trees are pretty common. All right. I'm good, Faith. Thanks for asking. It's Monday morning. I'm doing okay. Hopefully you're doing great as well. Hopefully you had a nice weekend. If anyone did anything fun or exciting, share that information as well. I went for a hike yesterday. Went to the Nocatee Spring Nature Preserve. Did about a 5-mile hike in this hot heat, hot weather. So it was nice to go out and take a hike in this when the weather's warm like this. I wish I had a place to cool off. I know a lot of the beaches are closed now. Oh, there you go. Swim in a pool. Don't rub it in. I wish I had a swimming pool. My pool's closed at my apartment complex here. So, hi Jordan, how are you? I see you checked in as well too. I'm good. Hopefully, you had a nice weekend as well. Anybody else have any other questions? Good to hear that you had a good weekend too. If anyone did anything fun or exciting other than swimming in a pool and rubbing it into Mr. Ferko's face on a Monday morning, especially when it hit 95 degrees this early in March. So it was a really hot day yesterday and this past weekend. So okay, excellent, Faith. Make sure did you send it? I see you said you finished your edible cell, then you ate it. Good. So was it good? Hopefully, okay, good. So make sure you send the pictures to me. I've gotten quite a few on email and through Microsoft Teams. A lot of really cool projects, and hopefully enjoyed making it. Sounds like it was pretty fun on some of your end. I like some of the comments I got. So that's cool. You had the resources at home to make a project like this. Okay, Jordan, if you missed in, you could always go back and listen to the earlier parts of this. I've been explaining about plants. Your project will be due on Friday, a new project, a plant project. You're going to research 3 different types of plants in your neighborhood. And they could be any types of plants. They can be trees, plants, dandelions, or whatever. Um, And you were explaining there's 5 main parts of plants I went on early in the segment. If you've taken some notes, or you can go back and listen. There's roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds. Those are the 5 main important parts of plants. You are going to research those 3 different types of plants and tell me how they all are different. They're all going to be a little bit different in your types of plants. And tell me the main difference on how they reproduce, how they use their seed dispersal, how their root system might be different. Um, so probably section it off in 3 different paragraphs. So you're going to research 3 plants. You're not going to draw or create anything like you did on the Edible Cell Project. You're just doing research. So you could use your internet resources that you have for the types of plants in your neighborhoods and what types of trees or plants you may have in your backyard or down the street from where you live. This will be due Friday, so it'll be on like a paper format. And I also assigned a brain pop too. So you have 2 things due Friday. A brain pop, 10 questions. I also assigned a vocabulary with that on seed plants, and then this plant project. So I went over some notes. I will be live again later today from 1 to 2, and also from 5 to 6 if you have any questions about this. And I'll be explaining again some of the main things I just went over in a little small PowerPoint that I have, and just explain some of the parts on vascular and non-vascular seeds of angiosperms and gymnosperms. So some differences there on that. So basically, you're researching 3 types of plants in your neighborhood, and you're including roots, stems, leaves, seeds, and flowers, and how they're different. Those are the 5 main parts of the plants, and those 5 main parts, how they're different from one another, and comparing and contrasting your flowers in your neighborhood. Hopefully, you had a chance to see our video. Mr. Canelo and I had a little video on plants. He talked about Spanish moss. I talked about a white ginger lily. We were at a Boy Scout camp. I just put it up on the Microsoft Teams this morning. So it's about 6-7 minutes long. So you can get a little background information in there, some of the things that we want, plus the live stream here, email through to me as well too. So as long as you guys are keeping up with doing the work, just trying to make it simple for you guys, even though you're, doing work from home now, making it a little bit easier for you guys. I know you have other work from other classes too, and this is a new way of learning for all of us. We're all kind of going through some of these changes here, so um, all taking ways to adapt into this new way of learning. Anybody else got any questions here? Jordan, did I answer most of your questions? You could write back if you did. Um, you want to write back just so I know that you understand. If not, ask away. This is the time to ask me, so it's good to see some of you guys writing in here. Okay, good. I'm glad you got that information down. Excellent. Excellent there. Anything else that you would like to state? The people that are in here, questions about the project, or maybe something fun you did over the weekend. Just like a little interaction here. It'll be good to hear from some of you guys here. Other than Faith swimming in her pool. Any other questions? Oh, okay. Let's see. A few more questions coming in here. All right. Faith, you could send it either way. Either way is fine. Students been sending them in through email and Microsoft Teams. I've been checking both. So you could send it through email or Microsoft Teams, whatever makes it easier for you. There's attachment buttons on both there. You can attach the project, take a picture of it, send it to me that way. And or your Word, if you did the writing part on a Word document, same thing, attach it, send it to me through email. So that'd be great there too. So our new topic is cells for this week. So that's what we're focusing on. Wrapped up on cells in general, with all the parts that we went over the last few weeks and even before spring break. So the cell project was kind of the finale on that part. And then spend a week here talking about plants and not so much plant cells, but just plants in general, and basic information on plants, and then a plant project and a brain pop due by the end of this week. So not a whole lot, but information on this new topic here, and just kind of moving forward with that. Any other questions? So it looks like Isabella, Faith, and Jordan I've seen in here. Looks like I have another couple more people joining in. If you want to say hello, any questions that you may have, we talked about plants. You can watch the earlier part of the segment. I know I'm about 40 minutes into this stream, so usually this is the time slot that we'll meet on Mondays, about 8:30 to 9:30, and then from there on, going on from that. Anybody else? Okay, let's say somebody else read something here. Okay, good job, Jordan. Thank you. I'll take a look at it when I get that. Looks like you sent it through Microsoft Teams. Excellent. Or in the chat. Either way, you can do it in the chat or through the team on Microsoft Teams. You can send it either way. I check those. I get notifications on both. So good job on that. And same through email. So I've been checking them periodically throughout the day. So good job on sending that information in. Any other questions? Anything else you want to state or talk about? This is the time to ask on plants or videos that Mr. Kennelly been shooting. Anything you want to ask during this time is the time to do it. And like I said, this will be up on you could always go back in and view these, and then I'm on at 1 to 2 talking about the same thing, just being open and available, and from 5 to 6 today as well too. So Mondays have more sessions than other normal days, so it's kind of keeping it simple for you guys, but also learning on about a new topic on plants. Any other questions? Looks like I have about 6 people in here now. Looks like I think I had up to 8 during the live session, so it was kind of good to see some people in here. So yeah, you could always write on the sidebar there for the live chat. I'm checking that as I'm talking here too. So any questions, that's time to ask. It's a good way to communicate your questions to me. All right, anybody else here to have any questions or ask any questions? And I covered a lot of the stuff in the early part of this segment, so if you missed out, You could always go back to the beginning part of this. And I'll be also talking about this in the next. Oh, looks like somebody else read. Oh, okay. I don't know who this person is. If you could say who you are, that'd be great. To answer your question, the plant project is due Friday. This Friday will be April 3rd for this date. So if you want to say hello, and who you are, that'd be great too. Okay, Maddie. Okay. Well, hi, Maddie. Welcome. And yeah, the plant project is due Friday. And do you have any questions about it? Were you listening on the earlier segment, or should I talk about some things here? You could always go back and listen. So if you have any questions about it, now's the time to ask. Okay, I just got here. Okay, you can rewatch, but I'll restate since I have about just under 15 minutes over here before I have another conference at 9:30. So I'll restate, and you could always go back and rewatch there too. And I'll be on live again at 1 to 2 and also 5 to 6 today. So I'll be on and off on here. Um, you're going to research 3 plants in your neighborhood. Okay. I talked about 5 main parts of plants. Those are roots, stems, leaves, seeds, and flower parts of the plant. So you're going to research 3 plants in your neighborhood, and you're going to compare and contrast the main differences between each of the plants by some of those main parts. They might reproduce differently. They might take in nutrients differently um, through their roots, stems, and leaves. Um, you could also, I also talked about vascular and non-vascular plants. You should state where what they're classified under. Non-vascular plants like your mosses and your algae, they don't really have flowering parts to them. Most of your plants are going to be vascular plants. If you have like roses or lilies or dandelions in your neighborhood, those types of things. Lilies, um, trees. Don't forget trees are a type of plant too. You can research the trees too. We have I don't know if you had a chance to see the video that Mr. Canalou and I put out as well. Make sure you watch that. I put it up on Microsoft Teams. It's only about 6 minutes long. We covered a couple different um, plants in there too, and told you what to do as well in there. So you're writing kind of like a research paper due Friday, comparing 3 different types of plants. So 3 separate paragraphs comparing and contrasting how the plant reproduces with how they're different with their roots, stems, seeds, leaves, and how they may reproduce. Maybe they're spores, maybe their seeds are dispersed by the wind or by another animal, that type of stuff. So we require you to kind of go out and explore your neighborhood, your backyard, or places down the street from where you live. Take a look at some plants, research them, give us some information on that, and compare them. And I'll again go, if you go rewatch some of the beginning parts, I went over some things, just basic definitions, and there's also a brain pop too on seed plants. So they do have vocabulary in that, and um, there's a quiz to take as well. So 2 things due Friday, plant project, and a brain pop. So you have the rest of the week to do this, but I'll be live today and Wednesday as well from these time slots too. So just kind of talking and going over some things on plants and your project. So you're just basically doing a research paper, comparing 3 different types of plants in your neighborhood along with the brain pop. So that's your assignments for this week for science. All right, seems like you got that information there, Abby. Good job, or Maddie. Um, any other questions you could ask? If not, I'll be back live, or you can rewatch. Since I went over some of the notes on some of these earlier. I'm not requiring you to take notes down, but just to kind of go back and listen to those parts on root stems, leaves, and seeds. I kind of went on some of them in little detail, and I'll be doing that again later today too for those that want to listen in on the live session and/or go back and listen to it too on your own. All right. Anybody else? Any other questions? That's good. I've got some feedback. So Maddie, Jordan, and Faith, and Isabella, thank you for um, participating in on today and asking questions. That's good to hear from you. Good to hear from you guys as well. Hopefully, had a nice weekend and enjoying this nice weather too. Not being stuck inside the whole entire time. Get outside, ride a bike, hang out in your neighborhood, hang out with some friends. Swim in a pool if you have one. Jealous for some of those of you who have swimming pools. Mine's shut down at the moment. And the beaches too. So especially it being as hot as it was yesterday. Anybody else in here? It's like I'm going to be wrapping up pretty shortly here. I've been on for just about 50 some minutes here. So any other questions that you may have in this live feed? And you don't have to watch every one of these throughout the day, just one of them if you missed. Um, just because I'm just being open and available for those students that may have questions at this time. Okay. Wow. Good job for you, Faith. I'm jealous. Don't rub it in. Go swim in your pool after you're done with your work. I'll just state that to everybody right now. Faith will be in her pool. So jealous. Lucky, lucky. Some of you guys are lucky to have a swimming pool there. So same with you, Jordan. Okay, both of you guys. Don't keep rubbing it in. Mr. Ferko's jealous. You can't go out and swim in this weather. All right, Jordan. Bye. I'll see you. So if any other questions, don't forget you can always email me or send me a message through Microsoft Teams as well too. So go enjoy the day. I'm going to be getting off on here shortly as well too, and in this segment, since I do have another um, meeting coming up here. So good job for those that participated and listened for today. So it's nice to hear from you guys and communicate. First time doing this with getting people to write back. So every time it's gotten a little bit better here. I'm still new to some of the new technology changes, so bear with me. Oh, okay. Looks like, is that Gavin that just popped in here? Say hello. My segment's just about to end for today, but okay. How are you today, Gavin? Hopefully you're doing well. Good to see you. If you missed today's lesson, you could always go back and rewatch. Um, Good. Thank you. I'm glad you're doing well. Good to hear from you. To get your other message in Microsoft Teams earlier there too. Hopefully you're able to send that attachment with your cell project. Hopefully I was able to go through there. But I'll be back on here at 1 to 2 today and 5 to 6 today. If you missed, you could always go back and rewatch. We talked about plants today. You'll have a plant project due Friday. So it explains that in this segment here too, and I'll be explaining it later. Then you also have a brain pop due Friday. Assigned brain pop through Clever on seed plants. So two things due this week. So you don't have to watch the entire segment, but at least for the first maybe 20, 30 minutes, I can explain some things on plants and what to do for your project. And I'll be going over that the rest of this week here too if you missed out. So good to hear from you. Good to see you on here. So I'm actually going to cut this segment just a few minutes short. It's just under an hour right now. So I do have another meeting to get into here, or Zoom conference here. So any other questions, you could always email me or send me a message on Microsoft Teams or ask me on here, which is good because I'll be on here again this afternoon from 1 to 2 if you have any other questions. All right, bye, Faith. See you on there too. Go enjoy your swimming pool. Hopefully get that work done too. I have all week to do it, so go research your plants in your neighborhood as well. Same with you, Gavin. All right, so I'll see you around. All right, I'm going to be signing off here, guys. So go enjoy some of the day. If you need anything, I'm here live for a few more sessions this week or today, and start researching. Think about some of the plants that you might want to research in your neighborhood or your backyard. All right, signing off for now, and I'll see you guys at 1 o'clock if you're on. All right, have a good day.